knows better than you yourself. I think social media can be different for everyone else. For me, it's giving me a thick skin. For me, whoever says something bad to me, I know what I have to do. Ignore. Or if it's that bad, I reply them in a beautiful way. It's not about hating someone who hates you. It's about spreading love. That's the difference. If their words matters, then your words matters too. It depends upon you that you have to choose your words wisely and make sure that you do what you want to do and don't let people describe your personality. So that's the mission that I go through, and I look up to other people how they are handling it. So if they can do it, I can do it too. And if I can do it, then the people who are looking up to me, they can also believe that they can do it too.
Lara, you were being asked this question when you were, during the pageant that time, that, the disrespect was happening in the pageantry world, and if you had to defend them, how would you do that even now?
Well, I've lived it. I lived it from the day after I was crowned. I mean, I went on to be a Goodwill Ambassador with the United Nations for 14 years. I worked on women's rights, I worked on women's empowerment, I worked on gender issues, I worked on gender equality, on women's reproductive rights issues, So there's just so much more. You change that perspective by walking the talk. You change that perspective by being that person that they don't see when you're up there in a red gown competing, for a crown. And life goes on beyond that one night. It's not just about that one night. It's not just about that country being called out and a crown being placed on a young lady's head. Life moves on from there. You have an entire year, tremendous amount of responsibilities, wonderful opportunities. And I think people need to kind of focus on that a little bit rather than just that one pageant. I know the pageant is a huge televised event. I know that's where, the glamour is and where the big bucks are and all of that. But yeah, a woman's life completely changes. One young lady's life completely changes for life from that night onwards.
And as you were being asked about, one advice you'd like to give to the women out there who are dealing with a lot of pressure in today's life.
Right.
If you had to carry that forward, even now, if you see, women are actually, they're excelling in a lot of things, in the field of, media or Bollywood or entertainment or doctorate or anything for that matter. But at the same time, somewhere, they're not as applauded, everywhere as much as, a male, would be. That is what even I have seen that for that matter. What do you have to say about that? What do you feel that, why women often, are somewhere, treated as weaker section for that matter? Though they are the strongest out of all.
They are truly, like, the woman of my life is my mom, who's a gynecologist, and she broke the patriarchy system in my community, and she truly inspired me and empowered me to do something independently and believe and just conquer the whole universe. So I think it's that we need to support each other, women supporting each other, and we can see how they incredibly break so many stigmas. And if you know about my advocacy is about menstrual equity, and that's how I learned about it when I was young enough, and I realized that I'm privileged that I have a mom who's my best friend and a gynecologist. So I had that opportunity to ask questions and to buy pads and just feel comfortable. But when I traveled around the world, I realized there's so many countries or so many parts of the world itself where women have to choose between food and feminine products. And that's what I believe, that if being a woman, you are enough privilege that you have went through great things in your life, it's your duty and responsibility to look forward to the other part of the world, to other part of the women who are not given that opportunity or are not appreciated in that community. You need to support them. You need to make them feel comfortable. And we can see how women leaders, we can see how incredibly they have done things. So we need not to wait for someone to applaud for us. We need to applaud and have just that pat on our back and just realize we did it. You want to believe it or not, but that's the reality. We are stronger, and there's no competition. It's not about competing with anyone. It's just about just making them realize that if you can do it, I can do it too, and I just did it. So that's the reality.
And as we speak about the loopholes, there is also the brighter side to see that, women now who are married and who are having child could be a part of the Miss Universe. How does that make both of you feel?
Well, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a natural evolution, to something. Even the pageant world is evolving from what the stereotypical pageant was always supposed to be about. And I think women are playing different roles already in society, So I think it was just a matter of time before pageantry as well evolved and adapted to that world. So I think it's a step in the right direction. Of course, that said, I would be very interesting to see the way that this would play out, for women going forward, how this would be able to allow, especially women that are married or women that have young children, to be able to enjoy the same kind of opportunities that we have had as Miss Universes. So I think the organization will do everything in their power to sort of create that environment for these women. So I, for one, am very interested to see how this new rule will play out.
And lastly, 17 years of No Mentry Mentry.
Ah.
You recently celebrated it on social media. Will we get to see you in the sequel too? Or should
I'm
I
not
reserve my
allowed-
questions?
Yeah, I'm not allowed to say anything about the sequel. What sequel?
Oh, really? Because Salman recently confirmed about it, so.
Did he?
Yeah.
You'll have to ask him.
And before I let you go, you are already making people watch the video of Kal Ho Na Ho, the rendition of it in a way. So when will we get to see you in the world of entertainment now?
I'm really caught up in my duty.